Hi, I'm Linda Dactyl, and I'm very happy to be here this week. I thank Tony for asking me to share some of my thoughts about different things. Tony and I have known each other for probably about 20 years on a friendship basis. I've known about Tony for a long time. In fact, my current guitar player, Don Hales, was somebody that I met at Monaco's Palace. Okay, back when Tony's family ran that restaurant business. My current groups are an organ trio with Don Hales on guitar and my husband Kerry Dactyl on drums. And that group is with some other people are featured on my latest release, a late one on Chicken Coup Records, produced by Tony. And some of the other things that I do, Chip Willis is on that CD singing Don't Misunderstand. I back him as an organist in his group, the Chip Willis Group, which is a jazz, blues, R&B type group. Lots of vocals on that. That's nice. We all back up Chip and sing. It's a little different experience than just playing instrumental jazz organ. And I also work as a drummer, mostly in the hard rock circles now. I'm quite a rocker. I've got my Yes shirt on and all that. And then I do progressive rock projects as they come along. That's my interest as a composer. And I'm not going to talk about how to compose close to the edge today, but I do want to talk about some things that can help you to get started with composition if it's something that you've never done, if it's something that you do, but you feel a little bit not very grounded in it. I found a couple of tips for me, particularly in writing for the jazz organ group, that's been very, very helpful through knowing structures. Okay, I can't tell you before I started using these structures. I've got shoe boxes full of cassette tapes of a lot of good introductions. It's like, well, where's it going to go? I can go back through some of those things and find things now that it's like, okay, I can expand upon that, knowing a little bit more about form and structure. Okay, so I think it's very, very important to know that. As far as some basic structures in jazz, we have our blues structure, the 12-bar blues. There's some variations on that, depending. I mean, there are 8 and 16-bar blues. I really don't want to, go into detail on that right now. But your 12-bar blues is, 12 bars, and it can be very basic, like your 1-4-5 type blues in rock, and more traditional blues, to something as crazy as Charlie Parker, where you've got changes on every half note and that kind of thing. But basically, blues, all you got to do is come up with 4 bars of a good riff and repeat it 3 times, and there's your song. Now, maybe bars 9 through 12 will have a little variation on that, but not necessarily. I mean, Duke Ellington's C Jam Blues doesn't, and it uses 2 notes, with a catchy rhythm. And what makes that tune work is the harmony on that. So, that's blues, just, the 30-second explanation of that. And then there's a couple other structures that I've seen an awful lot in the jazz standards. The other one is like the 2-part form, which would be like tunes like Fly Me to the Moon, okay, where you have 16 bars and then the 16 bars repeat. The other 16 bars might have a little variation on the ending, but basically you've got a structure of A and then maybe A prime, or it could be A, A. And then the one that I've seen, I think I've seen this one more than a lot of the others, is the 32-bar AABA form. Okay, now that's a structure I like to work with quite a bit. But, that sounds like, well, that's more complicated, but actually it really isn't. You have to come up with a good 8 bars that you're happy with. And once you've done that, 3/4 of the tune is written. All you have to do is come up with the contrasting bridge, and you're good to go. Then you throw on, some kind of a stock ending or some variation of that. The stock endings that I use, and this may not be all of them, but they're the ones that I use. If I'm playing a blues, uh, lots of times, say like Chicken Shack, something like that, you play 3 times from the 5 chord and then end the song. You may put a little Duke Ellington ending on the end of that after doing that. Do 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 da. Or the Count Basie, the plink plink plink. Okay, so there you go with that. One of the other things that's used quite a bit is the 3625 extension. Okay, and that's on the sheet too. That's the one that could, be repeated, maybe 3 times and you're done. Or if you're on a jam session, you got, a couple tenor players up there, just battling it out, like Eddie Van Halen and Yngwie Malmsteen on the guitars. It could go on, for 15 minutes, this loop of the 3625 and then end. So there's that. And then the other one is the what I call the flat 5 ending. It starts on if you're in the key of C, you'd be on the F sharp minor 7 flat 5 with a tonic note on top, and that repeats. Now that one is best used for fast tempos, okay, because it is quite extended, and you might make an enemy of your singer if you do it on a slower tempo because they're holding that note out forever and ever and ever. So anyway, that's just in a nutshell some of those things, and the handouts can, you can take a look at those over the week, and I welcome any questions that you have. I'm available through my Facebook page. I have a personal Facebook page. I also have a Facebook business page for music. I would say, the personal page of Facebook is probably better. I'll take a look, and if we're not already connected on Facebook and you have questions, I'll take a look through the messenger. And then the website that our website out there in internet land is www.dactyl.com, spelled DACHTYL. And that's my husband and my website. It basically has our gigs up there, and whenever we start playing them again, and and then some other things, where my CDs are available and such. Music is our life. I mean, my husband and I work together in a number of projects. We also have separate projects, and we both freelance. Also as classical musicians, percussion, about town. So, between this mix of everything, we can stay quite busy, when, the work returns and that kind of thing. So anyway, so much for all that. We'll segue into an explanation of my tune, Tone Wheel Grease. And I wrote this for my 2008 release for Hepcats. When Tony and I put together the second CD, he wanted to have the CD have a theme of blues. And so, I played some blues that, people already knew, some standards and that. Wanted to include a couple of compositions. And, I wrote this tune, Tone Wheel Grease, for a number of reasons, which I'll explain when we get to the explanation of the structure of that. Just, about, a few seconds away here. But another reason I wrote that is that every organ player should have a theme song, okay? I mean, they seem to. I mean, Jimmy Smith and Back at the Chicken Shack, Jimmy McGriff with All About My Girl, Jack McDuff with Rock Candy, Charles Earland with More Today Than Yesterday, and so, Tone Wheel Grease is mine. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy the explanation on it. And like I said, I welcome any questions that you have. Just contact me. And tomorrow and the rest of the week, we'll be doing some demonstrations, using the Hammond. Okay, here's Tone Wheel Grease. And this is an original composition of mine that appeared on my recording for Hepcats from 2008 on Chicken Coup Records, produced by Tony Monaco. The players on this are me on the Hammond, Robert Kraut on guitar, and Jim Rupp on the drums. Now, I want to just talk about my ideas as a composer, how I came up with this, and how it fits in our discussion of structures and that. Okay, first of all, the title, Tone Wheel Grease. That's a take on Generator Oil, okay, and Greasy Blues. It's in the key of D flat. It's kind of a homage to Jack McDuff. I used a quote from one of Jack's tunes in the coda, and I'll discuss that a little bit more in detail here in a second. But Tone Wheel Grease, key of D flat. It actually started off as being a very fast tune, like a take on Rock Candy. And we did a couple of takes in the studio at that fast clip, and it was okay, but it didn't hang together quite well. It's kind of like we were, just holding on for dear life to play it at that tempo. And so Tony suggested to slow it down to medium swing. And that's one thing that's good to have a producer. Sometimes you're not objective about your own compositions and that. And, so I agreed to do a couple of takes at that medium tempo, and we listened on the playback, and it's like, well, yeah, that's hanging together a lot better. So as far as the tune itself, the structure is A-A-B-A, but the difference being this, okay? Most of the standard structures of AABA, as far as, your different standards, like All the Things You Are, and, many of them, are 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars. Okay, the difference in this is that the A sections are 12-bar blues. Now, as far as writing a blues, basically you need to come up with 4 good bars at the beginning. You will repeat those when you go to the 4 chord, and then on bars 9 through 12, you can either vary it or just do a direct repetition. And because there's a lot of harmony in this, I did a direct repetition on bars 9 through 12. So, there's that. So that was pretty easy to do. I wrote 4 bars and was able to use it for, 2/3, 3/4 of the tune. As far as the bridge goes, I did a convoluted rhythm changes bridge. These things are nice to use. I like to play with the harmony sometimes on these basic structures so they just don't sound totally stock. And that's what happens there. And then we go back and play the 12 bars of the A. So there's the A-A-B-A form, 12, 12, 8, 12. And then all the solos are over that particular structure. Now, as far as the reprise goes, we run that way, and then go to the coda, which is a 3-6-2-5 to extend it. And then there is a quote from McDuff coming up, all the chords going up chromatically to the 1 chord, and then a little bit of a bassy, the plink, 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 bassy thing, and then the D flat 7 sharp 11 sharp 9 weird chord at the end. Now, there's a other bassy element in this too in the introduction. Okay, a number of bassy tunes will have chords floating over a dominant pedal. So, that's that. So basically, to write this, I had the 4-bar riff. It just came to me in the car, and I kept singing it till I got home to, play it on the piano. And so I had those 12 bars, and then decided that it needed a bridge. So let's take the rhythm change bridge, and that's pretty much it. And then I had to figure out how to introduce the tune. And so I, took a bassy element, and then how do I get out of it? Well, I extended it with the 3-6-2-5, had a little Macduff quote going up to the tonic, and then the little stock bassy plink, plink, plink on the end, and that's it. So, I can't say that the tune wrote itself, but when you have these structures in mind, it makes it a lot easier. It can really discipline you to finish something quickly. The thing is that, sometimes people think, well, I don't have freedom with structures, but actually the structures give you the freedom to be creative. And I can't tell you how many shoe boxes full of introductions I have, before I learned to write to structures. And so anyway, we'll take a listen to this. We'll listen to the beginning through the first playing down of the head, and then we'll listen to the reprise and the coda. So that's Tone Wheel Grease from the 2008 recording of For Hepcats, and let's just take a listen here.